Playing Contra Operation Galuga felt like going back to a fun amusement park I loved as a kid. It reminded me of playing old arcade games from my childhood, but also made me wish for more new features. The game is a good updated version of the original Contra, and it was fun to play with friends. However, it felt a bit too similar to the old games and didn't leave a lasting impression on me. This side-scrolling game keeps it simple by sticking to the tried-and-true formula of battling through levels filled with enemies before facing off against a boss. While marketed as a sequel to the original Contra, Operation Galuga feels more like a remake. It follows the same tough guy protagonists, Bill Riser and Lance Bean, as they navigate familiar stages in the same order on the same island. You and a friend will blast through recognizable levels, like the waterfall stage and icy train ride, just like in the classic 1987 Contra game. However, Operation Galuga adds in some new elements, such as fully voiced characters, new playable characters with unique abilities, and new 2D stages to replace the less exciting pseudo 3D levels. These additions help to breathe new life into an experience that stays true to its roots in most other aspects. Operation Galuga doesn't always hit the mark with its new ideas, especially when it comes to the story. While I do appreciate the additional background information on our heroes' motivations, the writing can feel a bit stiff, the characters one-dimensional, and the dialogue scenes drag on. This extra story tends to slow down the otherwise action-packed gameplay. For instance, I don't need long speeches about the lemures, the doomsday device in the story, to understand that we need to stop the bad guy from using it. And I certainly don't need a villain interrupting the action to taunt me about my progress. Just let me keep shooting and save the trash talk for the later. The classic levels and new stages in this game offer some solid old-school action. I really enjoyed revisiting the creepy journey inside a living organism from Contra, but with upgraded graphics and mechanics. The new level with hovering motorbikes and fast-paced enemies keep things fresh. However, the gameplay still sticks to the basics of dodging enemies and shooting colorful projectiles. While I appreciate the retro arcade feel, I wish there were more surprises or changes to the formula to make it more exciting. Operation Galuga keeps most of the classic Contra gameplay intact, so long fans probably won't be too surprised, except for the constant barrage of enemy bullets. You'll still have the same weapons like laser, homing gun, fight the usual aliens and commandos, and take on big bosses who really hate getting shot in the eye. There are a few small changes though, like the new characters being able to hover for a bit, use a grapple hook to zip around, or slide under fire and attack enemies up close. These little tweaks add a breath of fresh air to the game. A lot of cool stuff from WayForward's previous Contra game, Contra 4, has been included in this one too. For example, you can carry two guns at once and switch between them depending on what you're up against. Personally, I liked using the machine gun for serious damage, but I always kept a spread gun or flamethrower on hand for dealing with a group of weak enemies. And now you can actually upgrade your guns by picking up a second one of the same kind. It makes your weapon stronger until you get hit, and then it goes back to normal. Plus, if you're feeling bold, you can overload your guns for temporary advantage, like being invincible or shooting bullets in all directions. It's not always the best move to sacrifice a good weapon for a short-term boost, but it's a nice option to have in case you find yourself in a tough spot. Plus, if you die, you lose your weapons anyway, so it's worth considering. The arcade and challenge modes from Contra 4 also come back, with the arcade mode allowing 4-player co-op and challenging you to get as far as possible with a limited number of lives. The challenge mode tests your skills with special limitation, like completing a level without using any weapons. It's pretty cool to play with bigger group and face the chaos of each stage, but it can get boring quickly since you're playing the same 8 levels as the regular campaign. Similarly, it's somewhat fun to take on the trials in challenge mode, but unless you're really enjoying replaying each stage with tricky conditions, it gets old fast. Contra Operation Galuga was pretty much what I expected, a slightly updated version of the classic run-and-gun arcade game. It did a good job of tapping into my Contra nostalgia with all 8 levels, and the weapon upgrade and overload systems added some nice touches. However, it didn't really go above and beyond, and I found myself wishing for more surprises and gameplay to keep me hooked for longer. Overall, it was a fun ride, but it ended a bit too soon without many twists and turns to keep me entertained. Please let us know in the comments what you think about new Contra Operation Galuga, and we see you next time. Bye bye!